What is going on, Brick fans? Today we have another Pokemon Mega Construx review, and we're going to be looking at the new Squirtle Evolution Set. Now, before we get into the actual review, if you like Pokemon Mega Construx content, consider subscribing to the channel. That helps out a lot. Also, hitting that like button really helps out with the videos. Alright guys, without further ado, let's get right into this review. So guys, here is the whole set, and the first thing I'd like to talk about is my least favorite thing of these sets, which is the terrain. Now, this terrain actually is a lot better than what we usually get, and that's because this is a larger set. You know, some of the smaller sets have smaller pieces of terrain, like we looked at the Galarian Ponyta terrain piece, and that was really small. But this one is actually a decently sized build. It also comes apart like so. So if you want to display them individually, these pieces do come out, and you can display them in any number of ways. Now, it also does have the ability to turn around like this, so that you're kind of displaying them facing different directions, which is really cool. I do appreciate that a lot. So while I do like the terrain, for me, terrain never makes or breaks a set. It's the actual Pokemon themselves. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Pokemon. Alright guys, so here are the Pokemon, and I can't say I'm entirely disappointed with Squirtle and Wartortle in this set, because we recently got new models for them, so I wouldn't expect Mega Construx to come up with a totally new model. Squirtle is entirely serviceable, and we'll go ahead and put in a previous Squirtle for comparison here. The face for the Squirtle on the right is actually the one that is advertised on the box and on the promotional material, but that is not actually the face that I got in this set. I actually got the slightly angered face in the set, so I don't know which is the mistake. Is it what's on the box, or is it what's in the box? Really not sure. But I would say expect the angry face, because that's what I got. For me, alternate faces don't really matter too much. It's nice to have the alternate faces when they come in these kinds of sets that I'm going to get anyways. And as we can see, I already have the winky face, so I don't have any problems personally with this kind of mix-up. But that's really all I have to say about Squirtle. It's the same build that we've gotten from the updated Squirtle. But like I said, it's a serviceable build, so I don't really mind it that much. So moving on to Wartortle. This is, once again, the exact same model, although this time we don't even get a different faceplate, so there's really not a whole lot to say. I do really like this build. It's definitely a lot better than the original Wartortle build that we got. I will say the one thing I wish Mega Construx would fix about this, we see it in a lot of the Pokemon that are similar to this, but this hole in the head, we really don't need this thing. There are too many Mega Construx Pokemon that have these holes on the top of their heads, and I think it would be worth it to invest in a new piece that could go there that wouldn't have to have a hole in the head. So that would be my major complaint. I mean, everything else of this build is really good. But let's move on to the Pokemon that most people will be getting this set for, Blastoise himself. Ultimately, the Blastoise build is good, but there are some things I don't like about it. But before we get into those, let's go ahead and look at the things that have been done right. And to really get an understanding, we'd have to look at the original Blastoise. Alright guys, so we have original Blastoise build on the left and the new one on the right. So let's get right into a detailed comparison. Now, the first thing, these arms and hands are exactly the same, so we're not going to look at those right now. The big difference is the stomach design. We've got more stomach on the sides rather than the Blastoise skin tone. Other big changes are this Blastoise can move its legs at the hips, but he cannot move his feet at all. So he is stuck in essentially one upright position like this, whereas this Blastoise actually has a ball joint in there, so he can move his ankles. This makes it so that he can stand in a pose that makes him look like he's doing something. Now, I've said it before, but I actually had to modify the Blastoise neck so that his head could turn. It's not a great modification, because it causes his head to fall off whenever I try to turn his head, but you can maneuver it so that it actually does turn. Originally, he was stuck in the forward looking position. This problem is actually fixed by the new Blastoise. He can turn his head freely without any problem at all. Now we also have a big change with the tail. Ultimately, this will come down to personal preference. I think I like the new Blastoise tail a little better, although it doesn't look quite accurate to the character. Another thing to point out are these thighs. These ones are rounded, whereas these ones are flat. This makes his legs look a little less bulky, and it also gives him a little more freedom to be posed. Now, the biggest changes to this model is going to be on the shell. So this new shell is very sleek. It looks polished, it looks like an update. Ultimately, I think which shell looks better will come down to personal opinion. There are things I like about the old shell, and there's things I like about the new shell. I like how the new shell is very sleek, but one of the things I like about the old shell is that it is more bulky. It's got more of a circle coming out of his back, whereas the new shell is really just flat. But my favorite improvement about the shell is actually his water cannons. I'm personally not a big fan of the shooters whenever we get them, and so having the actual cannons is a really cool addition. Alright guys, so getting the comparison out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about what I like about this Blastoise and what I don't like. I think the main body, the stomach, legs, are really good improvements. I really like these things. My one big complaint about this character are these arms. I wish they updated these things to be a little more accurate to the character and to get some posability in those elbows. It is really great to have a movable head without having to mod the character, so that's another big plus. As far as the shell goes, like I said, there's things I like about the old one and things I like about the new one. But the biggest win are these water cannons. Now, as far as recommendations go, here's what I'd say. If you like what you see for this Blastoise, I'd say go for it. I think there's enough improvements here from the original that if you really want these improvements, I'd say it's worth it. Now, that would be the advice I'd give someone like me, who is, can we say, a veteran collector of these Pokemon Mega Constructs. If you have the original Blastoise, really what I wanted to do was to show you guys what the new one looks like front and back. One of the things that I was really disappointed about with the promotional material was that we didn't see the back of Blastoise's shell at all, and that's really a big reason why I wanted to get this set and show you guys it. I'll say for me, if I had seen Blastoise front and back and I was just a normal consumer, I wouldn't get this set. I would stick with what I already have. So if I didn't have this YouTube channel, I wouldn't have gotten this set. But since I do have the channel and I did get the set, for me it was worth it so that I could show you guys. Now, my advice for someone who just doesn't have Blastoise would be, this is totally worth it. Go get yourself a really cool Blastoise model. And that really goes doubly for anyone who doesn't have either the new version of Squirtle or Wartortle. Like, if you don't have all three of these guys, this is a score. So while I can't recommend this set for those of you who have the original Blastoise, that's your decision. If you like what you're seeing, then go for it. If you don't, then stay away. But I'm definitely recommending this one for people who don't have the Blastoise. Alright guys, with all of that said, I'm really excited about this semi-announcement that I've got. So, as I said in the review, there are things I like about the old Blastoise, especially regarding his shell. And so what I'm going to be working on, so I'm going to be taking this body, and I'm going to be combining the two, taking elements from both to try and make the ultimate Blastoise. One of the things I'm going to work on is try and get some posable arms, and then the other big thing is making a shell that's the best of both worlds. I also gotta say, the shell part that the blaster actually comes from looks absolutely nothing like the character, so that's something I'm going to try to do as well, make the blasters actually look like they're coming from the inside of the shell. Now that's going to be a big project, and I'm gonna get started on it as soon as I can, but I really don't know how long it will take. So if you're excited for that, let me know in the comments. That will really encourage me to go all in on this idea. But if you're excited about that, we might not do this, but I'm considering, once the ultimate Blastoise is made, I'm thinking maybe I'll try to combine even more of these two Blastoises to make Mega Blastoise. Let me know in the comments if you want to see that. This is kind of a kooky idea for me. And for Mega Blastoise, I definitely would have to use a bit of my Lego collection. So guys, one last announcement before we end the video. I did just start posting Mega Construx content on Instagram. Right now I'm going through Pokédex entries for each of the Pokemon Mega Construx that's come out with. So if you can't get enough of Pokemon Mega Construx content, consider going over to Instagram and following me at Brochure Brace. But with all that said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you in the next video, and take care.